Hello, good evening, good evening. Yeah, LinkedIn, let me know. Oops, oops. Hello, hello, hello. I believe we are live. Yes, we are. What is going on? Yeah, 21st of October. Trust you are doing well. And it is time for C Suite Speak. I'm trying to go live on Instagram as well. I just want to be sure that we are live there. Okay, I think I have it now. Yes, I think I have it now. C Suite Speak with the Happy Employee Coach. We are here, we are live. It's time for some speed mentoring. Let's get some knowledge. Let's take advantage of the path that people have followed. Awesome, awesome. If you're here joining us, please let me know where you're joining from. Let me know where you're joining from. And if you're on the road or if you are home, that's a different kettle of fish. It's interesting. It depends on what time, where you are, right? And what time it is. But if you're in Lagos, which is where I'm streaming from, um, yeah, it can be a lot. The traffic can be an interesting situation. So, thank you very much for joining. Today is another edition of C Suite Speak. And yes, I like this time of the week because it just helps me come and learn. Like, I like to learn. And one of the most powerful ways to learn is from people's stories. People's stories are such a powerful source of learning, like such a huge source of learning, right? People's, it's just stories are powerful, and we don't tell our stories well enough in Africa. That's the truth. We listen a lot more to stories from outside here, but we don't listen to our own stories enough, if you ask me. And one of the things I aim to do with C Suite Speak is to change that narrative and begin to share our own stories, because there are peculiarities of being an African working in Africa. I know there are peculiarities of being an African working in other parts of the world. This is not to negate that in any way or make it seem like it's not that difficult. Nah, nah, nah. It's nothing like that. This is just saying that we have our stories, we have our peculiarities, there are challenges. Okay. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Augustine from Port Harcourt. Please, if you're live either on Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn, let's know where you are joining from. So I was saying that there's so much power in our stories because our work environment is different. Our realities are different. I mean, that goes without saying with anywhere else in the world. But I feel like we don't tell our stories well enough. Okay, Chika is in transit. Or I pray you get home very quickly and safely. Yeah, so let us know where you are joining us from on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Let's know. So the thing is, I feel like we don't tell our stories well enough, and that's something I want to do, at least for employees. I may not be able to do it for every segment of the population or the economy or every demography, but at least for employees and what it takes to really just grow, just grow, 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 is what I want to be able to do with this program. So, um, C Suite Speak is my way of giving back. One of the things I've said to people is that I ended up learning a lot. we finished like what I would like to call season one, the first 10 episodes, and I have learned a lot. Like, I'm always frantically typing, you know, and I've gotten answers. I'll be very honest with you. I have gotten answers to questions I had, right? I've met different people from different, spheres of life, people that I thought I knew. Do you get some I didn't really know that sort, but some that I actually did know a bit. But just hearing their story, just reminds you that at the end of the day, we are all human. We are all human. We are all human. At the end of the day, we are all human, and life will bring you to where life will bring you to. It's really up to you to make the most of it, how you respond to it, how you show up, right? So that is just so powerful, and that's what I like about C Suite Speak. I have worked for more than 17 years, to be honest, going on 18, and my own story also still inspires me. When I look back from where I am, it's just such a powerful thing to see how far I have come. And every time I speak anywhere, right, I'm just so blessed to be able to tell people my story and share with them what made the difference. So if you're joining us, I've seen that many of us are joining us from different places, Port Harcourt, Lagos. Some people are in transit, some people have gotten home. Let's know where you're joining us from. Please repost on your page on LinkedIn, on your Instagram stories, WhatsApp status, and let others join us. Please repost and let others join us. So, welcome again to C Suite Speak on a beautiful Tuesday evening. Our guest is here. Good evening. Can you hear
Good
me?
evening. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Awesome. Yes, and I can hear you. Awesome,
Okay,
awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you
my
so much
pleasure.
for being willing to do this. I am very grateful. I don't take it for granted. So, welcome.
My,
I have done a
thank
bit of a
you.
background to what we are doing with C Suite Speak with our audience. So, but what I like to do when we start the session is to just explain to our guests again, right? So that for anybody who is also just connecting, they can also understand what we are doing and what we are about. So essentially, sometime in I think it was 2021, I used to go live every weekend on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Clearly, okay, cool. So I used to go live on Instagram. It looks like it's breaking a bit. Is it breaking?
I can hear you very well from here.
You can hear me very well, because I was thinking of just changing ISPs now. Let me not just let me try back. Am I back? I think I'm back. LinkedIn, can you hear me? Can we hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me. Larry, can you hear me? Oh. No, I'm not sure if it's me or. See, Sweet Speak with the Happy Employee Coach. Guys, I'm sorry the network was iffy, but it's going to be just fine. Okay, you can't hear me. IG is fine. So it looks like IG is fine, but LinkedIn wasn't fine. I hope that LinkedIn is fine. But if IG is fine, I believe YouTube will also be fine. So we'll just carry on. Okay, I see Vajime from Plateau State. So, okay, thank you, Augustine. I can see that you can hear me. Awesome. So I'm going to carry on. Our guest seems okay. He's back. I'm just going to add him back to the stream, and then we'll take it. We'll just go. Mm, okay, interesting. Uh, okay. Larry, can you hear me now?
Yes, very well.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's do this. We pray that the network will be stable. It will stay. So it will stay and we'll be able to have a good conversation. So I was saying that sometime in 2020 or thereabouts, I started going live every Sunday to just teach people to be happy at work. I had just started that expression of myself, right? As a happy employee coach. I don't even think I was called that at the time. And then, off and on, I was doing that for a bit, but I kind of slowed down, stopped. Early this year, I started paying attention to Diary of a CEO. I started watching that podcast and I realized that amazing stories being told, but there was nothing for us from the African perspective in terms of helping employees, right? So I thought, okay, let's start something. Let's start telling those stories to help people to be happy at work. Let me allow people come on and share with us, right, their story. You know how someone has worked for years, for decades, you know, and you can see how their life looks like it's all glitz and glam and nothing is wrong. But behind all of that, there is a story. Behind that glitz and glam, there's a story of growth. There's groanings, there's struggle, right? And so that's what I want to do with the C Suite Speak. Okay, I hear that LinkedIn is fine and Instagram is fine. So, Larry, so how this would work is you would introduce yourself. You can share with us how many hats you get to wear. Feel free to share your story. This is really you doing speed mentoring and sharing your story with the audience, right? And we want to just learn from you. How can we be like Larry? If you were to advise Larry of 20 years ago, looking back, what would you? So the questions I'm going to be sharing are going to revolve around your story essentially. So it starts with us meeting you, right? So let's meet you. Introduce yourself. You can tell us any part or that you want to tell us, and then we'll just take it from there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Neka, for having me. I think when I saw your invite, I was wondering, sometimes you begin to think like, what do I want to talk about? You're still thinking like, let me get more experience. I'll come back to come and share something. Maybe the experiences are not enough. So I'm Oyelere Atoyebi. I'm the head of commercial at CAP. I have a career that has spanned over the last 15 years. Um, I'm a father, I'm a husband of one wife, and then also I'm a pastor, so I think I should just state that. And I have two wonderful boys for now. Let me say that is all about me.
There are many hats you've described already: husband, father, chief commercial officer, pastor. There's plenty, right? You said you're chief commercial officer, right? Head of commercial. Talk to us about how did you get into being chief commercial officer? Like from university, is that what you wanted to do? How did you land in this career path? So just walk us through that journey. You can start as early as you want to. Secondary school is fine. If you want to start from university, university is fine. The whole idea is as you tell your story, people can find themselves in that story, right? And see possibilities. So talk to us about how did you land here? Let's know.
Secondary school, of course, in secondary school, you do well in class. science. So I I'm very science because I was doing well and don't go to Russia and I pressure medicine, so medicine agriculture specifically. And I think medicine because
It looks like there is a glitch. Uh, okay. Sorry about this,
I
ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Larry, you're back now. We couldn't hear you. You got cut
oh,
off.
oh my goodness, I was can you hear me very well now?
Yeah, you got cut off.
Okay,
Yes,
but
you
can
are
you hear me
back
now?
now.
Okay, so I didn't know
Yes.
what was saying.
I didn't hear much, to be honest. So I think that it's
Okay,
okay if you start from literally the beginning of where you started answering the question around how did you come into the commercial function. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. I don't know if you can hear me. You hear me? Or then should I try?
Ooh,
Let me try to check.
I can't hear anything. Oh my. LinkedIn, please, can we hear? Just let me know. It looks like I don't know if it's my end or if it is Larry's end. Uh no. Just Mama, go and sleep. Keep confessing it. I am healed. I am healed. Ooh.
I think we're good now. I don't know which network is fluctuating.
Oh my. Guys, I'm really sorry. The network is, this is not good at all. Ooh. Sure why. I don't know what this is, and it's really frustrating for all of us. But Larry, you are back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, okay, let's try this again and trust God that the network would hold. I'm sorry, everyone. We've never had it this, disruptive. So that tells me that there's some gems we are going to be learning tonight. And this is episode 1 of season 2. It is going to be good. It's going to be a great session. So please stay with us and join us in, in praying that this holds, right? We know how the network can be, but it's going to be a good session. So, Larry, let's talk about again from the beginning how you came into the commercial role. Let's talk about that. Now I can hear you clearly, and then we'll just take it from there. Let me know.
Okay, thank you. So I started with the fact that secondary school, what the expectations are that if you do well in your junior secondary school, as we used to have it then, you'll be asked to go to the science class because it seems science class is for the brilliant students. So I found myself science class. I don't want to say accidentally. And then when you begin to do well, next thing is they would start pitching medicine. That is the best thing to go for. Funny still, I entered university with my first jam, and I wanted medicine, but I was given animal science. So I thought, let me get started with this. I'll write another jam. And I was trying to write another jam, but the more I was trying, yes, I was scoring higher than the previous one. But it seems once I try to catch up, the cutoff two will go up. Just like that, a boy trying to catch a bird. Each time you jump, the bird jumps. So at the point, I thought to myself that okay, what is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So I finished with animal science, and I was thinking whether I wanted to what I really wanted to do with my life because I was thinking what I would do. I was thinking, should I be a lecturer? Let me go for my master's. I was thinking about a lot of things, but it was the days when graduate training, management training was something that was common. So immediately after my service, I applied to a couple of jobs. And because I was good naturally in the sciences, aptitude test was just something very easy for me. So it was easy for me to pass many aptitude tests. And then I found myself in Friesland Campina, and very funny role, I would say, because then we used to call it medical detailing manager. So I didn't really know what the role was all about, but I just wanted a job. And for a young graduate, you just want to try your hand on a lot of things, and then you see what works. But I had wanted a role in human resources because I used to think that it was a very simple job. I just say, is it not just recruit people, pay salary? It's people used to say that human resources is the uh, easiest, hardest job. How do they, or hardest easiest? People just think that God should pay you now. When people are pursuing target in sales, when people are busy in the engineering, the laboratory, those HR guys, they are just busy getting people salary and say this one, let's increase this one. We are not doing well. So I wanted HR, but again, so it was a role in marketing. Basically, the role was about uh, building brand because then the company had it was a dairy company, and then the company had some infant formula that you cannot advertise. So they needed people who will go sell it to uh, healthcare practitioners who will now end up selling it to mothers, because you cannot talk to mothers directly. There was something called the UNICEF code then that you can't publicly advertise infant formula. And then and that was the longest I did on the role. I think I was 4 years on that role. Then it occurred to me that I wasn't growing. I define experience by learning, not by the number of years spent on a job. So someone can have 1 year experience and you repeat it 4 times, and then you say you have 4 years experience. It's just 1 year learning you have repeated 4 times. It's not any learning. So I wasn't growing, so I thought so. I wanted to move away from that department. Uh, because also it was obvious there was no going to be promotion. You just look at people before you look at the setup, and if you want to be sincere with yourself, you know that there was not going to be promotion anytime soon. So there was a vacancy for area sales manager, and I don't think I like sales because then they said salesmen always have high blood pressure. Salesmen are not they are not quality food. They are people who go to the market. So I didn't want the tag, but that was the only way for me to move up, which is a lesson in organization that I could have stayed where I was, but that was the opportunity for me to move up. That was where the vacancy was. So I applied. And then good enough, I passed. I was an internal candidate, but I still passed all the interview and everything. And then I find myself as an area sales manager. But because of my approach to work and to life, because in the previous department, there's a way we do things methodically, strategically. So I brought this to bear in sales. And I didn't have any sales experience, but I've just learned in life that if you have the determination and you are willing to learn and bumble, because so I was in Lagos, moved as area sales manager to the city of Minna in Niger State. That was my first time in the north. So it was a new role, it was a new location, everything was new, and then it looked like so. And I was to be area sales manager over people who had sales experience. I never had one, so I had to learn. So I was just observing. Sometimes you just use like as if you knew, but you don't really know. But you just know that being a leader, you need to lead the way. So you need a lot of humility first to even learn. I couldn't speak Hausa, and then I don't even have a good understanding of the role, but I knew I could do it. I had this ability. And then things work out well, very well. And then in like 2 years, I became a regional sales manager. And then from there, I was moved to another role, and I was moved to other roles. And then I became sales. And I told my director that I want a new role. And then he said, I still think you need to learn more on the field before you come to strategy in the office. And I said, okay, fine. And I did that. And it kept it to heart. And that is one of the lessons I learned in life, that if you don't ask for what you want, you might never get it. Then a role opened up after I'd done RSM in like 3 locations within the space of like 2 years thereabouts. And then it was a short-term assignment to it was to be in Singapore, and then somehow COVID happened in 2020, and the short-term assignment was supposed to be like a period of 1 year. It was a good go-to-market role, which was to leverage on my experience in sales and route to market, covering some part of Africa and some part of Southeast Asia. I was to work with the global sales director. It was supposed to be like an accelerated development program, and a role that really opened up a lot. And then because of COVID, I had to work. It had to be a remote job because nobody could travel that time. So it was also another new relating with people in Asia. Asia then was 7 hours ahead. And then in Nigeria, I'd never met them before. And then the role was now to roll out a lot of projects in Southeast Asia. So Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam. It was Malaysia. I was traveling to a lot of countries from Nigeria. And then because I was the one that needed their support, I needed to work with their time. So sometimes 2 a.m. meetings, because 9 a.m. in Vietnam, 2 a.m. in Nigeria. It was a lot, but it was quite an interesting role. And after then, left Friesland Campina. I worked in Tolaram. Then I had the opportunity to work with the current managing director of Guinness now, Mr. Girish Sharma. I know it was an opportunity, first opportunity to work with an executive for me. I worked very closely with him. He was then the CEO of Colgate Tolaram Joint Venture. So it was a lot of my baptism into boardroom, board meetings, commercial functions, a lot of commercial support, and it was quite a very interesting role for me. And then from there, I went to Promasidor as head of sales strategy. It was a new role. I had many new. It was a new role. It was an elevated role to support the commercial director and also the sales function. And after a while, I got a vacant position in chemical and allied product CAP as head of sales. And then I took the position, and then, funny enough, months into the position, I had some discussion with my boss, and she was talking about how I needed to be ready in like a year's time thereabout, if I would like to take a position. But funny enough, like 5 6 months, she got another role, and then somebody who said I need to be ready in 1 year, they pushed me to the role in less than the time that was planned for me to get the role. But I didn't get the head of commercial. I was still the head of sales, but they expanded the role, gave me added additional responsibility. But the title was still the same, but the function was expanded. And then some months after, I think after like 4 5 months, they felt I had now grown to uh, take the role fully. It was like for sort of acting capacity before, and then I was given the role. And then recently again, the role was expanded again. Some other commercial aspects were added, and then now I have the privilege of looking after the whole commercial function in CAP. So I hope I didn't bore you so much with my story. So that is how I arrived. I don't know if there are other specific details. But
That's super. That's very, very, very super, right? And I'm going to ask you questions along, the line of what you shared right from the very beginning, right? So I'm taking notes because you said something towards the end of this, and I want to ask you after you answer this and a couple other questions, how did you make that transition to be ready? But let's talk about a comment you made where you said somebody can have 4 years experience that is actually 4 years experience, or 1 year experience that is a repetition, the same experience 4 years. Please unpack that for us. What does that really mean?
okay,
Give us examples. Yes.
so basically, when you are on a roll, one thing that is very critical. So what I tell people, and I do say this, that my biggest book when it comes to management is the book of Luke chapter 16. I said Luke chapter 16, where the Lord Jesus told the story of a guy who was about to be sacked at work. And then the guy said, uh, so he was not managing well, he was not doing well, so he was told he would be sacked. And then the guy said, I cannot dig. So I said, digging is a skill. So that means I don't have skill. I said, I cannot beg, which also means that I have so much ego, I can't speak way to beg. He said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leverage on the network I have when I was working. And then based on that leverage, when they throw me out of work, I will have that leverage. And then from there, I see that there are two things that are very key to me in any workplace. Number one are the skills I acquire in the course of doing the job. Number two is the network I build in the course of doing the job. Those are the two most profound things that will go with you anywhere you go. The skills and how do you learn skills? You learn skills by solving problems. Now, if you are, it's
Please,
either you
can
are
you say
solving.
that for those at the back? You learn skills by solving problems. That's so profound.
Yes. So the two questions are that if you are in a job where you are not uh, having new problems, or you are not using new skills to solve old problems, then you are not getting experience. So it's either you are solving new problems, because I remember I was regional sales manager for 10 months in Enugu, and it was the first time, and I was bored. Why was I bored? I became regional sales manager in 2018 January. 2018 January, I didn't do well. 2018 February, I didn't do well. 2018 March was the first time I met my target. And by the time I had spent 3 months, March, April, May, I understood that East Central region like the back of my hand. I wasn't challenged. I had the best results, if I'm not mistaken, almost month on month. I was doing 120%, 130% of my target between that time till I was taken from Enugu to Lagos at the end of October. I had a team, I set up everything. So if I'm not seeing new problems, I get bored. So that's why I said, it's either you're solving new problems or you're using new skills to solve old problems. If I can't do both, I'm not gaining experience in my by my own record. So what makes me stay on the job is either you are giving me new things to do, you are allowing me to try new things. Is either you give me new things to do or you allow me to try new things. They are two different things. New things to do is you expand the function, you give me more role. Or if I'm still doing new things, you let me try new ways to do those things. If I can't get those two, I get tired, I get bored. So that is why I said experience is not doing the same thing for 4 years. No, but having four different ways to do what you have always done. That will mean for the 4 different ways. Because if you look at it, for example, the pilot is not rated based on the number of days you work, but based on the number of hours you have flown. So you can be a pilot of 4 years, you have flown for 1,000 hours, and you're a pilot of 2 years, you have flown for 2,000 hours. At the end of the day, what counts is the number of hours you have spent doing the active work, not the number of years you have earned salary.
There's a lot here. Oh. And I had another question I wanted to ask, but please, I'm still going to stay here. You said you learn skills by solving problems. So, anyone listening, right? He said something. You can have 4 years experience that can be 1 year repeated 4 times, or can actually be 4 years experience of growth. And how do we know that it is a which of this which side of the divide you are at is if you are solving new problems. So it's either you are getting new things, expanding the role, or you are trying new ways of doing things. Please let's talk about these new ways of doing things. One question I've gotten asked a couple of times in coaching is, how do I get my boss to say this thing we are doing is not working? Let's try something else. Have you experienced that kind of situation where you were trying to convince a leader, your manager, about changing approach to solving a problem, and they didn't seem keen on doing that? Okay, or they didn't seem keen on giving you that bandwidth to try or to experiment. What does that look like? So is it that you've experienced it before, or you want to propose to us, what we can consider, what you think can help to work with a boss to say, oh, let's try this new thing, or allow me try this new thing?
Okay, so I think sometimes what people try to do in the workplace is like trying to borrow money from someone who doesn't know you. You need to do a lot of explanation. People need to know that trust, credibility is not what is given at any level. Credibility is what is earned. So if you have not earned credibility, there are things you can't ask for. So I don't step beyond my boundary. I don't ask beyond the credibility I've earned. And I think that had worked for me. So I'm not going to ask you to let me try something when I don't have a result that you can trust in time past. So I think if somebody is not allowing you to try something, it's because they don't trust you. It's very simple. And trust is not what is given. Trust is what you earn. So it's for you to be patient to earn the trust of the person that you are trying to tell to do new things. So for me, that someone doesn't allow me to do new things means the person doesn't trust me yet. So it's not something to be angry about. It's something to reflect about and be like, so what will make me trusted? Results. Nobody doubts results. If you look at the Bible, Daniel said, we are not going to eat what you guys are eating. We will eat something else. Check us out in 10 days. And in 10 days, they were better. So once they were better, they said, okay, if your result is better, then that means your method is better. So you can't have a better result with a method that is not better. But how can you convince somebody that you have a better method? Is by a better result. And now when you have earned the trust, then you can now try new methods. So if they don't allow you to try new methods, it means you lack the credibility. And it's nothing to be angry about.
I like what you said. You say that there's no need to be angry. It's not something to be angry about. Like, I like that. Like, you see, guys listening, if this is making sense to you so far, as much as it is making sense to me, please remember to repost on your WhatsApp status, your Instagram stories, repost on your LinkedIn. He said, if they cannot trust you, there's no need to be angry. Just sit down, ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do to build trust and credibility to get those results, right? Because some of us, what happens to us is this absence of trust affects our relationship with our bosses, right? Because they will keep saying comments, that you're wondering, why are they saying this to me? But you haven't established, credibility enough for them to say, hey, I can allow you to do this, or try this or try that. Okay, so that's really, really important. You talked about transitioning, right, to area sales manager. I had a conversation recently where someone was saying, oh, if I want to transition from one unit to the other, should I be telling my current manager that I want to do that? What if it doesn't work out? So I want to ask you, right? What do you think about that? First of all, when you wanted to make the transition and apply for the role, did your manager at the time know, right? If not, was it intentional, or how would you have done it differently? But just that's the kind of thing that's conversation like, oh, I want to make a transition. Give us tips around it and what has worked for you.
Okay, so let me just be sincere. And like I said, so um, it was a money-induced transition. So then, as medical detailing manager, you had a Toyota Yaris. As area sales manager, you had a Toyota Corolla. So I said, so what will make me ride this Corolla is I need to move. I need to move from Yaris to Corolla. So for me, it was the only opportunity for me to grow. Then there was no growth in the department. So this is where I look at it. You had a medical detailing manager who reports to a regional manager who reports to a national manager. But our national manager was just the equivalent of a regional sales manager in sales. So that means the highest position you can be in our own department is just a regional manager in another place. So I looked at it that it seems there are no growth here. And I do tell people one thing you must always look for in an organization is that, and it's always very funny. This is not to shade anybody or anything. I said, you're an IT professional. FMCG is not the place. We don't have chief technical officers in FMCG. Maybe an Apple or a Samsung is a place where you should be. But you are in an FMCG and you say you one day you want to become the managing director. Then the question I ask you is that look at the topmost 10 FMCG in Nigeria. Then has there been any IT person that has been a managing director in the last 10 to 15 years? It's a place for marketing and sales people. Commercial and finance people are the ones who dominate that space the most. It's a record. It's something you can check from records that if you look at the biggest capitalized FMCG in Nigeria, is either somebody from finance or somebody from commercial that has been in the last 10, 15 years. It's just a statistics. It's not always true. But where I'm going is that there are roles that give you a terminal position in an organization. You look at that role, you look at the person in front of you, and you see that nobody goes beyond that particular role. So far, you're in that department. Because organizations look at what gives them the highest return. So if you're a medical doctor in KPMG, it's not the same thing as you're a medical doctor in a poor hospital. Medical doctor in a poor hospital can be the CMD. Medical doctor in KPMG, you are just in the clinic if there is anything of such. So you need to understand that how relevant is this position to the top? What I'm doing. Is it hospitals can exist without accountants, but audit firm cannot exist without accountants. So basically, then I just look at it that this is the place for me to go because I see that salespeople are the one. I saw that our then managing director was a salesman. I saw that the organization paid attention to more salespeople. So I made the request, and my manager said, "Fine, if you pass the interview." And of course, if you are just have some bit of brilliance, and then you can put one or two together, you can always pass the interview. So I passed the interview, and then I was now said, "Okay, there's no space in Lagos. We want to take you to North Central to go and be area sales manager." Like I said, I never sold before in my life. What I was selling to doctors, selling to polished people. Now you ask me to go and sell to market people. But like I said, one thing that is very important, like I tell everybody who wants to move to sales particularly, you need knowledge of three things to succeed in sales. Number one, knowledge of your product. Number two, knowledge of the people. And number three, knowledge of the channel where you are selling to. With those three, you can sell anything. So I just studied critically the product I was selling. I studied the people I was working with, what was their motivation, and then I studied the channel where we are selling to. And then with those three, it took me a while, but I was able to adapt. A lot of humility, I must say that when you are changing roles and then you are already high up there, and then people that you want to learn from, many of them are not even as learned as you are, but they have more experience in things that you don't have. So you need to stoop low, go with them, work with them. I had a brand new Corolla, but I would rather ride a Corolla with a salesman. I will sit in the front because see, if you want to learn, you can't sit on the horse to learn. You need to come down off the horse.
Hey.
So I will go with them to the market. I will trek with them. I'll be observing. One of the most powerful form of learning is observation. Even the Bible says, go to the ant, go and learn. So if you can learn from the ant, how much more human beings like you? No matter how lowly placed you are, you can always learn. So when you need to transition, you need a lot of observation, a lot of learning in silence, a lot of just observing, looking at what people are doing, asking questions. For me, till today, I'm never afraid of asking questions. If I ask question, I'm only foolish for one day. If I don't ask question, I'm foolish forever. So I would rather be foolish for one day. Yes, you call me a fool, but you won't call me a fool tomorrow. But I'm going to ask my question. It doesn't matter how basic or minute it is. I always ask questions. That is me.
Ah, wow. This ties nicely to what you said earlier around determination to learn, because you were going to new role, new lecture, but you were going to supervise people who already knew the ropes. And I don't know if you experienced this, but sometimes when you're already going to when in fact, first of all, when a new leader joins an organization, there's usually some challenges, some people are looking and wondering. But when they now find out that where did they bring this guy from? We that were here that we are experienced. How come? How far? What was that? How did you handle the? Because someone listening here today may be taking a new role soon, right? And you shared about taking that new role, and I'm particular about that point in time because the supervision relationship was going to be unique. Someone who didn't necessarily, who hasn't done. Let me not say it's not experienced, but who hasn't exactly done the work. It's different when you know that okay, this person is coming from outside, oh, but where he's coming from, he has led the business like 10 times this. You're like you're almost in awe. But in your own case, it wasn't that. Can you talk to us about any time when you had to either you had altercations or maybe almost altercation? What did you do? How did you handle that?
Okay, thank you. So there's something I call when you join the new organization or you are taking the new role, there's something I call beware of messianic complex. So it happened when I joined an organization. I was the head of a department, and then the first day at work was a managers conference where they are looking at what they did the previous year and then the strategy for the new year. So the managing director walked up to me and then he said, it was a very high position then because I remember then, apart from the ESCOs in that organization, like the second level leadership, the central leadership team. And then the man said, so what are the vibes like? And I said, oh, I'm willing to hit the ground running from day one, this one, all the packaging you want to tell the managing director. And the man said, in 6 months, you are still trying to understand our business. And that set me back. And it wasn't like a new industry. I've been in the FMCG. But since then, I learned something. You see, don't make it look when you join an organization, you take on a new role that the previous people who have been playing prior to your coming. Don't make it look like you had come to be the savior, in quotes. There is a way, sometimes when you are bringing somebody from outside, people inside think they are experienced enough, or people think we can do it. And then when you now come and add a touch of pride, like, I've come to rescue you guys, I'm the new kid on the block. They had to sign me with a very expensive fee to come and save you, to come and use all this strategy. I think first thing is, that's why I said, number one, knowledge of the product. Number two, knowledge of the people. Number three, knowledge of the challenge. I think you need to first look at what are the idiosyncrasies in this new department or this new role. You need to study the people. How do they think? Because if you don't understand the game, you can't change the game. You must understand the rule first before you can change the game. So I think first thing I've always tried to do in a new position, in a new places, let me first understand what they are doing. You can now make incremental changes, but I've always seen it most time people have brought very big bang, like we want to make a difference. It always ends up like being revolted because people feel like you are trying to rubbish everything before you came, everything they are done. You are trying to make it look like I'm here to save you, I'm here to. So I've seen it that humility is very important when you are stepping into a place that is like new terrain. They must see that thing in you that, guys, I am here so that we can learn together, so that we can move this to the next level. Don't make it like I'm here to change things, I'm here to make things better, I'm here to teach you guys, I'm here to come on. They've been making revenue before you came. At least if they didn't have money, they wouldn't give you anything. So it's not like your coming now is where they will not get money to be paying people. They've been paying salary. Even your salary is coming from the sweat of the people before you. You are not the one that made the salary. At least your first salary is coming from the previous work that has been done before you came. So I think one thing leaders underestimate so much is humility to show the vulnerability as a person and to learn. Once people see that truly you want to learn, they'll be willing to help.
Once people see that you are willing to learn, so you have to show them. I like the way you explained it, being that this one that has come, what happened, how far, why did they, all that is going on. Then you now decide to come and show that I'm the one that you people don't know what you are doing here since. That's why they interviewed me. Let me come and show you people how it is done so that you can make money. It doesn't work that way. You have to be very careful with what you are saying, right? What you are doing, the energy you are giving off. I can't think of when you show up, right? What do people feel?
Mhm.
And see, if you're listening to this live, what you are thinking, people can feel it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, Larry. Like what you are thinking, they can feel it.
Of
They may
course, now from your vibes, they will know now.
you understand? They will know. So we can speak any English, but you have got to be careful when you are joining a place, you know, what vibes are you,
pass
giving off?
across.
What are you passing across? What do people feel when they come across you, right? And especially if you are going as a leader to lead an existing team, I feel like that's a different dynamic because you actually need them to keep the ship running till you get a hang of what is going on.
Exactly.
Because if they start digging holes in that ship, so you need them to keep that ship running,
Hmm.
right? Before So you talked about confidence in yourself at some point, right? And then you talked about, but you talked about the next role, right, where you were regional sales manager. You were required to reach people in different time zones. I'm trying to remember the exact but there's a place where you talked about the support you needed. So for somebody who is coming into a new role, right, can you talk to us about how that person can identify what they need in terms of how they can quickly identify allies? Sorry, okay, it was echoing. How they can quickly identify allies? Because it's a statement you made. I can't remember the details now, but I asked the question, whose support do you need? So how do we find out whose support we need so that we're coming to a new role, we're able to settle into it quickly?
Okay, so one thing I've discovered in life is that just like one of my very popular quotes by Simon Sinek, he says, 100% of employees are people, 100% of customers are people. If you don't understand people, you don't understand business. Uh, I think one of the first thing one needs to know in every organization is that everybody is there for themselves. They are not there for you. They are not there for the organization. They are there for their family. So I've always seen it that the best way to make people your friend is to find a common interest. Uh, like a popular man do say, and I believe he said, I don't have permanent friend. I only have permanent interest. If the interest changes, the friendship changes. So uh, sometimes people come, and then it's all about them. I remember when I became area sales manager in Milan. So I look at the team, and the first thing, the weakest link in every organization are the people who don't have as much as you to lose. Let me give an example. In a place you have the full-time employees, you have the non-full-time employees. Some of those non-full-time employees, they know that some of them can even resign without a letter, because in the first place, they don't really have much to lose. And then they were the ones who form the bulk of my team, because as an area manager, your salesmen are non-full-time employees. So those guys, somebody can decide next week is not even going to come again without any resignation letter. So first thing I had to establish is that I knew why they were behaving that way, because they knew that they don't have a future in the organization. So I told them, I said, if you don't have a degree, I don't want you to work for me. Because if you have a degree, you can be the managing director one day. But the fact that you don't have a degree, the guy knows that no matter how much you use him, he will end up being used. He can never rise beyond where he is. So when people don't see a collective interest, then they will not work for your interest. It is when they see the interest as collective, as they are working for the collective interest, they're also working for your interest, because you need them, they need you, even though not in the same proportion, but you need yourself. So I try to always establish a collective interest. Guys, if we are able to do this, this is what is in it for us. It's not about what is in it for me. So I told them, guys, if you don't get degree, then we need to have a conversation. And many of them had OND, many of them had SSC, but I supported them. Some of them, I gave them money to obtain form. I told them you can go to National Open University. But they saw that I genuinely care for them, that it's not just about me, it's about their future. What happened? Number one was stability. Somebody who knew that one day he could be riding the Toyota Corolla I was riding then. He doesn't want to misbehave. He wants to come to work. He wants to work hard, because I've given them a reason to believe beyond where they were. So I always think that if people see a reason to look forward to something better than today, the reason why people cast off restraint is because there is no vision. If there is a vision, people behave in a way that is acceptable. But when somebody already knows that he has been doing the job for 10 years, and in the next 10 years, he will still be a van sales driver, because there is no future, the guy will not give you, he will only look after what is in it for him. So what I've always tried to do is to establish a common interest. If there's a common interest, something that is advantageous for you and for me, then you are not doing me a favor doing what you're supposed to do. You are doing yourself a favor. So for me, I think that is basically the way it works. Finding a way to establish a common interest, and then from there, we start moving on.
I think that this one is really interesting. That finding of common interest. You said people don't come to work for the company or for anything, they come for themselves. I
Yeah.
have never heard it put that way before. We come to work for ourselves. Let's call it spade a spade. So the sooner, as a new joiner or whatever, you're able to switch your language to recognize this. We're not saying go against the company or anything, no. But we're saying recognize this. The sooner
Mm.
you're able to do that, right? Makes a world of difference. A couple of times as you spoke, you talked about, I'm mindful of time, so that this may be, I mean, I do have other things to ask, but I'm so mindful of that because it's already 9 o'clock, right? So you talked about the role of your faith a couple of times, right? You just put in this interview, go to a scripture or something. So can you talk to us about the place of our faith? Like what role does for you, right? Now in answering this, imagine you're talking to Larry of 15 years ago, fresh to the workforce XYZ. What would you say to him, right, about the place of our faith at work, in our careers, yeah, all of that.
Okay, so one of the things I believe about life is that life is spiritual, you know, and life is not divided into this is my financial life, this is my spiritual life, this is my career life. It's just it's one life. It's one life, and if I will say to myself of 15 years ago, I'm just going to say that people are not the means to an end; they are the end. Um, what I believe is that the Bible says that if a man does not love his brother that he sees, how can he claim he loves God? So that means the proof of our love for God is our love for people. That is number one. Uh, that means if we don't love people, we don't love God. Because he says, how can a man says he loves God when he doesn't love his brother that he can see? So one thing I've always learned is that anyone who exists for others to be better, uh, they would never be behind in life. Anyone who makes it like they are, like someone said that a millionaire is not somebody with uh, who has millions. A millionaire is somebody who has influenced millions of life. That uh, influence should be counted from the position of impact much more than the position of acquisition. To say I have a millionaire, it's about the impact, and that is why in everywhere you can say these are the people who had been better because they have been in contact with me. These are people who had changed position. These are people who had learned these skills. These are people who had been defended or have been protected by the virtue of the opportunity. Because you will not always have the opposition, but you will live with the consequences of your position. If you're a principal in a secondary school, you will retire. But the consequences of that position will never retire, because people that you helped 30 years ago, they will come. But you will not always have the position, but you will always have the consequences of the position. That is one thing I will never forget. In any position I have, whether you are HOS, you are HOC, you are HOD, you are HOM, no matter what director, anything you are, you will not always have that position. Some people were there 15 years ago, they are no longer there again today. But the consequences of that position will always live with you, whether good or bad. So for me, that is what I always tell people, that see, if you can work well with people, because one thing I've noticed is that it doesn't matter. I've seen people promoted before and then they fumbled because they know how to work. As a matter of fact, I do say this humbly, that sometimes people who seems to finish very well in school, if they are not careful, are set up to fail, because what it takes to succeed in school and what it takes to succeed in life sometimes are two different things. Um, that is why you see most times people who don't seem to do well in school end up doing well in life. Because to have a first class, you can do it on your own. To have a first class result in an organization, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are, you will need people. We sell goods. There is an HR that recruits for you. They must give you the best of people. There are production team who produces for you. There are a lot of people need to work with you before you can be a success. But in school, you don't need to work with anybody. If you're a brilliant person, you finish the first class without even talking to anybody. But somebody who is not, somebody who is an average student has learned how to buy food for a brilliant student, has learned how to share things because help. So the situation has put him in a condition where he builds relationship. But people who don't need help, they don't know how to build relationship. But when you now get to the workplace, you now know that brilliance can never get it done. So there is a way brilliance makes you immune. Sort of, you are not even empathetic to people. Say, why don't you understand? It's because you didn't study now. You are not even willing to understand life from people's perspective. You are so self-sufficient that you think life is all about you alone. So if there is something I would say to myself of 15 years ago, is to be more conscious of people, because um, someone say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with people. I've always seen that the ability of a man to influence other people to get results is bigger than his own capacity to do it alone. So if a man wants to do so much, he must have the ability to influence other people to work in line with a vision, even if though they don't want to. A leader is not somebody who does what people want to do. A leader is somebody who influences people to do what they need to do. There's a difference between what people want to do and what they need to do. I'll wrap up with this example. when you're in secondary school, you had a teacher who gives you what you want. For example, he doesn't beat you, is a very soft teacher. And then after you finish secondary school, you wrote the subject three, four times before you pass. But there's a teacher who gives you what you need to. He beats you because because you don't want him to beat you. You do your assignment. Now, when you're in secondary school, you think the one that is beating you hates you. But in 5 years' time, you look back and you like the one that was beating you and you hate the one that was not beating you. So that's why I say a leader doesn't give people what they want. You give them what they need. They might not appreciate you now, but when they see what they have become, they will look back and say, thank God this man gave us what we needed, not what we wanted.
Mm. You've shared so much, so much, so much, so much, right? And I thinking in my head, because I like to take this program first, hearing your story, unpacking it at different junctures. I would have liked to ask now about how you've even grown in terms of what triggered the growth. Was it you looking for a job, and all that, or was it headhunting? And the reason I usually like to ask this question, right, is so that people know that sometimes, because what you shared, for example, was you realize that this work was what you were initially was too monotonous, right? So I want
Hmm.
people to also understand that sometimes you just have to look at yourself and say, this thing I'm doing, it won't take me far. What do I need to do to help myself and my destiny, right? To accelerate my growth, accelerate my relevance, right? So I think that's something I've also, even though I was going to ask you, but I also heard, right? Determined to learn. You've shared stuff that showed that you are like, even your current role, you said you hired for something, then it was expanded a bit, then before you know it was expanded a bit. So at the end of the day, it was clear, right, that you were growing, you were adding value, you were doing all of that. So there's just so much to unpacking this. But it's 9 o'clock. You talked about establishing a common interest. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter the level that you get into. Once you get into a new role rather, try and establish common interest. I won't forget this thing you said. Everybody comes to work for themselves. Oh, hey, everybody you for me, I think it's just freedom to understand that.
Hmm.
A different kind of freedom to understand that, right? So it looks like we're going to have to bring you back because I really don't want the live to go too long so people can easily rewatch. So it looks like we're going to have to bring you back so that we can talk about managing upwards, right? It's something that I think is important. Or maybe before you go, I've already asked you about your faith. Let me just push this small, just tiny, please. Tiny. Tell us about managing upwards. Maybe the top two things you think we should do, just a little bit of that. Managing
Okay.
up. Is it a thing? Should we be thinking about it at all? Or should we wait until we are working with executive? Was it from the first day? Just help us.
Okay. So when it comes to managing upward, I will say two things, just like you have said. Number one is that your friendship must reflect your future more than your past, and it's like being selfish, but it's not. So my current role was a recommendation by a
Wait,
managing
wait,
director.
wait, 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 wait. You see, I shouldn't have asked this question because we are about to take this thing to a different level. I don't know. Wait. Hey, Neka. You said your friendship
Must
should
reflect more of your
push
future
more of
than your
your
past.
future more than. Hey, whoa. I'm thinking. And I'm not even joking. I'm not even trying to pretend or anything. I'm really thinking. Guys, are you hearing this thing I'm hearing? Or is it me? Is it too much? Am I just overdoing it? Your friendship should reflect more of your future than your past. Does that tell me in the comments if that hits you like it hits me? Sorry, I wanted us to marinate on that a little bit intentionally. I'm very, but please just carry on and yes, we'll try. Wow.
Okay. So where I learned that is the role I am was recommended by, it was a managing director that recommended myself to our managing director. And that is why if your friendship reflects more of your future, one thing I've always learned is that, and I'll go back to faith. When the angel came to Mary that Mary would be pregnant, the next thing the angel told Mary was that your cousin Elizabeth is 6 months pregnant. So that means she has 6 months experience, you have 0 month experience. And Bible now said that Mary went to the house of Elizabeth and stayed for 3 months. Elizabeth gave birth. So the first time that Mary was giving birth was not the first time she was experiencing giving birth. She has seen Elizabeth give birth. So she knew how Elizabeth prepared for the last trimester of the pregnancy. So I've seen that your friendship should reflect more of your future. If you look at your friend, and it's not about being selfish, there is little your colleagues can teach you because you must, it's only somebody who has been where you want to go that can take you to where you want to go. So if you want to be a managing director and you don't have a friend who is a managing director, your journey is still very far. So you need somebody who is living the life you want to live. That is why I said that your friendship must reflect more of your future than your past. That is the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is that when it comes to managing up, okay, someone says something is echoing. I don't know. Yeah.
No, is it? Okay, I will mute, but I don't know. It's fine for me here. I'll mute now, though.
Okay. So I think it's fine now. So the second thing I would say is that make up your mind never to be corrected twice on an issue. It's a sign that you're unwilling to grow. Somebody has said, prepare this in PowerPoint. They told you, next time again, they still remind you that each time your boss corrects you, you are losing money. So I don't know how to say that. Each time your boss corrects you, you are losing money because somebody who is always being corrected, they are not going to think of more money for you. So each time they correct you, say, but I told you to do it this way, but I told you to do it this way. Each of those corrections is money that is leaving your account. It's money that's leaving your account. So make up your mind never to be corrected twice on a particular issue. They said, present this thing this way. They remind you again. So I think those two things, I've said just two things. Number one, I said, let your friendship reflect more of your future than your past. And number two, I said, make up your mind never to be corrected twice because each time your boss corrects you, you are losing money. I didn't say time your boss teaches you. Each time your boss corrects you, you are losing money. Thank you. You are muted.
Now, wow. Hmm. We are going to have to draw the curtain, but you're going to come back. I was trying to type frantically because I didn't want to lose the things you were saying. We are going to have to bring you back, Eric, because my goodness. I want to talk to us because you said something around skills and network, and then I asked you about the skills part. I want us to talk about the network part. But I'm afraid that if I ask you that one now, I can be here trying to unpack it again another. And I'm not joking, I said to my guest, right, that I started doing this because I wanted to help people who are joining the workforce, people who are under 10 years of experience, right? And but it ends up that I'm the one that is the chief impacted because I'm always scribbling. I'm always writing notes and taking learnings. So sometimes when my guests finish speaking, I'm quiet because I'm actually trying to finish the thoughts they've just shared, taking notes so I can always go back to it, right? Ah, you said each time your boss corrects you again, you are losing money. That's a very painful way to say it, Olere. You know why it's painful? Because it just wakes you up like, hey, hey. So it's not just you're not just responding to it or reacting to say this person's wala is too much. This oga, no. You are looking at it from promotion, salary increase. Maybe it's from that one now 0.01%
It's
has dropped.
evaporating small,
0.
small. That's the thing. Each time they are correcting you, are losing money.
What is the way you've monetized this thing? Like, because I always tell people, don't be corrected too many times. Take notes, write down so that they will not correct you more. But this is a different person. This is a shift for me. This is a complete shift. Okay, Larry, I have to let you go, right? Because it's late. and I know it's been a long day for you. We're going to bring you back, please, and I really hope you'll be able to, say yes to us, because there's a lot to unpack on this career journey. There's a lot to unpack.
Mm,
So, and the comments are just coming in on, on the platforms where we are streaming, right? People are there, they're answering, they are engaging, and wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are here and you've gotten value, the gift you will give me and Larry is to repost on your page so that more people can learn, right? The whole point of C Suite Speak is let us tell our own stories of people that have grown so that others can grow as well, right? You can just collapse. Just imagine the things he has said now. Everybody's here for their own. So don't be thinking, just look for what is it that this person really wants? How can I plug it and leverage it for myself? There's so much, all right? So please do well to drop a comment on what you've learned from the session today on this on the same post, and then repost on your page. Larry, there's so much, but let me just allow you to just give us your final words for this episode. We're gonna have to bring you back. Just what it is you think that is final words you will tell somebody as we are wrapping up the year 2025, because as far as I'm concerned, the year is
mm.
wrapping up. As the person is preparing to reposition for 2026, what would you tell them? Maybe around networking, maybe around their relationship with their manager. Just pick one area and just talk to us, and then we'll call it an evening.
Okay, so I'm thinking of what I'm thinking of what just to say to people. So I think I will close with this. Um, it's a common saying that if you are the biggest in your circle is too small. I think a man must always find where to draw inspiration from. If you must always find where to draw inspiration from. I think that's what there are things that inspire people, and then inspiration might not come to you. You go to inspiration because it's something you need to. Once you see some things, it will generate some things in you that you will want something better than what you have to do. So I would say that find a way to get yourself inspired. I think that would be the part in it, because inspiration will not always come to you. Many a times you have to go to inspiration. Thank you.
Hey, Larry, oh, you don't want us to go. You said inspiration will not come to you. I never thought about it like that. But as you said it, what hit me was I remember that many times when I go for a conference, or something, I go and speak with a mentor or somebody. I learned something. I'm charged up. I have a fresh idea coming, and you just said it that inspiration will not come to you. You have to go to it. I've never really thought about it that way. I always say, oh, when I go for these events, I am inspired. But the fact that that is actually an intentionality to go after inspiration intentionally so that you can grow. Wow. Thank you.
My
People have
pleasure.
stayed with us the entire length. They're asking that you're going to have to come back. So you're going to have to come back, right? And I'm just so grateful. I don't take this for granted at all, because I thought when this started, it was a case of, oh, I think I have a network I can use to teach people. But I didn't know what I was getting into, to be honest. But I have been the one most transformed, right? I look forward to the session, right? And people are just dropping all the bombs. Said if you are the biggest in your circle is too small. Me, I'm thinking of my life right now, like Neka, Neka. Hey, hey, Neka, which circle? You better go and look for which circle. Check well, And I'm just so inspired by what you shared, and I'm just so grateful for your time this evening. Everyone here in the Happy Employee community says a very big thank you, and
Okay.
that we're going to come back and bring you back. Thank you for making episode 11 of the C Suite Speak so powerful and impactful. Thank you very, very much. God bless you. And we will always have reasons to celebrate you, always have
Amen.
reasons to celebrate your
Amen.
growth continuously, right?
Amen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. The comments are dropping on LinkedIn. People are just
Mm.
echoing everything, and it's just so powerful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Guys, if you have found value, please repost this. Let other people learn. We want more people to be wiser at work, happier at work, more intentional, so that they can quickly grow, right, and collapse time. Okay. Thank you very much, Lyric. Thank you everyone for staying
All
through.
right.
God bless you. Bye bye.
Amen. Bye.